Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5 dead lives.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I am Leslie, bringing you your weekly, mostly deserved horror podcast.
Mostly.
Welcome.
Mostly. And today we have a special guest in-house.
Woo!
Leah.
Yeah!
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. And what a joy it's been so far.
What a wild ride. What a wild ride we just went through. But what did we just watch?
We fucking watched Tokyo Gore Police.
We watched Tokyo Gore Police from 2008, directed by Yoshihiro Nishimura, written by Kengo Kaji, Maki Mizui, Yoshihiro Nishimura, and JJ Vallejo. In future Tokyo, a young woman in the privatized police force tracks down her father's killer while battling against mutant rebels known as engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. First of all, I'm sorry if I butchered those names. This is a Japanese film, and I don't know Japanese, but I try my best.
Also, for those that want to see the movie, if you've watched it or not, there's some trigger warnings.
Definitely trigger warnings. Like from the top.
From the top.
Right at the top. I mean, we were kind of lightly just talking about this right before we started recording. It's very evident that this is like where Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, like these Japanese highly stylized, highly like hyper reality, hyper gore, clearly something that they pull a lot of inspiration from. This was like even more extreme than any Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez movies that I'd have ever seen.
I felt like I got showered with blood. I feel like I right now am covered in blood.
Yes.
Because of the constant camera bloodbath that we got.
Mm-hmm. Multiple blood showers, spraying everywhere. I mean, the blood budget in this movie must have been insane.
Insane.
Fire hoses of blood.
Yes.
One thing I will say about this movie, awesome practical effects.
Yeah.
Creative.
Yes.
Some of the more creative special effects I've ever seen, body horror that I've ever seen. And they set themselves up well because the world that we're set in is just about mutants, you know? So they can go crazy with these.
They have no limits.
No limits.
No limits. And boy, oh boy, were there no limits.
Mm-hmm. There was absolutely no limits.
I keep going back to that one thing. And I'm like, why? Why was there a human chair?
The chair.
The living chair.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I
really
keep going
up.
back to. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm fascinated by the director also being the special effects person. Like, do you know? I would be interested to see sort of if his career is one or the other mostly. Like, if he's normally a special effects kind of guy, but he's like, I'm gonna make a movie. Like, this is the special effects movie, or the movie for special effects nerds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when stuntmen make their own movie, and like the question is action, or the action is questionable, but like all of the stunts are like super on. I feel like this might be in that category.
Might be that.
For like body horror, it's like this felt very Carpenter to me, like I was saying before about like that kind of gore where there's the camp to it, where it's really just about the props and less about like the realism. And I don't know, it's a joy to watch.
You can tell, obviously, it's fake. It's hyper reality too, but it's also like incredible. Like the only limit that they have are their own imaginations of like, and some of the things that they came up with were fucking crazy, but in like a good way.
Heightened.
It kept going. Yeah, and even like we were like after that first scene, we were like, wow, okay. Maybe that was like they opened with the biggest stunt or whatever. No. It just ramps up all the way till the end.
All the way till the end.
And good on them for being able to continually one-up themselves. because I mean, obviously this movie was about the effects and about all of that, but also the style that it was made, very anime, hyper sexualized also, and also the colors were amazing. The actual directing of the filmmaking I thought was really cool too. The camera movements were very jarring and kind of felt like you were flipping through a comic book at some points.
Or watching an anime.
They really hit that style on the head, I felt like.
I noticed it too, like aesthetically, it's one of the sort of more beautiful films that I've seen in a while, which I was kind of surprised by. I think, just thinking, I don't know, I don't typically walk into like a gore movie thinking like, oh, this is gonna be very hyper saturated and beautiful colors and things, and there's something, and this movie delivered. So
yeah.
Let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
get into the
let's do
gore,
it.
huh? From the top.
Mega drop that some literally wet ass pussy.
Literally.
We literally did watch that today.
We watched it. We start off. The credits are like this kind of like dreamy. Like there's pretty shots of flowers. There's like kids playing.
The only nice thing.
The only nice part of this movie. Balloons. The narrator's talking about her father was a policeman, and she always looked up to her father. He has this like salute in this like very dreamy kind of world, and then boom, his head explodes. All right, here we go.
Yep, we're there, and it's like on the screen. Like there's blood spatter on the screen.
Yes, on the actual lens of the camera, for sure. And then we go to Future Tokyo, which we start with our main character, Ruka. I really enjoy her in this movie. I think that she's a perfect lead, especially in this film. You know, she has that, like, she's a small girl, like skinny, and, you know, looks like she would be a weakling. But she's got this, like, intensity behind her eyes that is, like, you know, there's, like, a weight that she's holding and carrying around. And then we see her throughout this movie be a freaking badass as well. They establish her as the best police officer, the best hunter of the engineers in the squad. Yeah, she's, like, waiting in her police car, and there's a engineer. That's what these mutants that are running around Tokyo are called. At the top of this like construction site or something that the police are going to go find, and she's like getting herself ready in her car, like mentally or something, and just starts cutting herself. And that's a theme that goes on through this movie as well. It's like a fad.
It's a fad for women. Instead of like talking about their problems, I guess. It's cute to cut yourself. And there's even blades for you to buy to cut yourself. It's just very disturbing.
Yeah, it's very... That is one thread, so I don't know about, like, you know, the PSA... That there's these PSAs sort of scattered throughout the movie, and this idea of when we see that it's a fad for women, we're being sold that through an actual commercial. But it's, like, not clear who's responsible for the commercials unless it is, you know, the Tokyo police or whoever. I can't tell if that's like a loose thread or if it's just like what happens when like men try to write about like women's experiences with like fads and body beauty and like you know, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about the sort of gender dynamics in this film, but we can get there.
And I think too, like, it's definitely a massive theme that is in this movie, because we do see... I like those PSA/commercial cutaways that we get throughout the movie, because it establishes more and more the world that we're set in. And this world that we're set in is very fucked up.
It's...
I mean, they're selling samurai swords because, you know, it's like...
They're good cutting knives.
They're selling video games that are about torturing the people that killed your family member. And then we have the cutting commercial. This... Future Tokyo is very, very much about pain. You know, it's about so much is like pain is the fad now. You know, it's like they're selling it and people are about it, and it's cool to be put yourself through pain,
or to like give pain to others too,
Mhm.
either sexually or, you know, you're murdering them.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's this future Tokyo has put a lot of importance on it, and that's what they're selling. And also through these PSAs, we learned that the police has been privatized. This is a private police that is supposed to be, you know, prevent the bad guys from taking over. We're going to do better because we're private, you know.
Private and samurai.
Yeah, there's the tagline that I can't remember what it is, but it's something about like privatized police will bring you prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
So all this violence is going to be like good for you.
But the people that can't exert pain are the engineers. Like they're the ultimate enemy.
Yes. And the engineers are, they pretty much establish in the first couple of scenes, they have been rebuilding their bodies into fierce killing machines. They have some sort of key tumor.
Yeah.
It's literally a tumor that looks like a key.
Yeah.
And it is inside of their head or just inside their body somewhere. And the only way to kill an engineer is to cut out that tumor. But until then, if an engineer gets like stabbed or his arm gets cut off, it regrows into a new weapon.
Mhm.
They say their wounds become weapons, which
Yeah.
is this another going back to this idea of using pain, you know, using blood and gore as a weapon, weaponizing it, which is kind of what the Tokyo government or whoever's in charge is kind of doing. They're merchandising gore and pain in some way.
Especially towards the end.
Yes.
Yes.
So we are here. We are here at this beginning scene.
I literally, at the beginning, I put excessive. Excessive.
We the first kind of battle that we get is against this chainsaw guy.
Yes.
Who is at the top of this building. He's like eating
his
kill, yeah. And then the police rush up there and
shoot him like 90 times.
He's like spraying out blood everywhere. They
And
shoot
we're
off
like-
his arm.
Yeah, we're like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's
You
gonna
got him.
die. No,
Yeah.
he's not dead.
Brrr, and then his arm grows into a chainsaw.
That he can like throw.
Yeah, it's like a retractable.
Like fucking like Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Get over here.
Oh god.
Yeah, and he just destroys those cops that are up there, you know. Again, go see the movie if you want to see what it looks like.
I mean,
He's-
it's fun.
He's like throwing, like a chainsaw goes into a guy's mouth at one point and like cuts his head in half.
And I will say, as I said before, where I'm like, I'm not typically somebody who goes for gore, and when I hear descriptions like that, normally I'm kind of like, okay, fine, you know, like I think Hollywood has a tendency to like try and be like super realistic, and it sounds, what we're describing sounds unappealing, and I want to say it sounds exactly like what you're imagining, but it's not. It's even weirder, and even better.
It's super, super fake. So that's like the fun of it. Is that nothing is real.
Everything is hyper reality.
Yeah.
But it is like just gory, just real enough, I think, to give you the flavor of it without, you know, like it's not like red paint, you know, that's obviously paint. There's nothing like artistically stylized about it like you'd get in like an Dario Argento movie or something like that. It is still like realistic, but it is just it's great.
Turned up.
Yeah.
I'm
Turned
so
up.
stoked on it.
It's the blood for me that makes it like sometimes you just couldn't see what was going on. And that was like okay for me. I was like, okay, cool.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's just showers and sprays and hoses of blood going on. This
movie
great.
was completely red for me.
It was red. It was definitely red. But then we got our best engineer hunter coming in, and she enters in the most badass way ever. She's on the ground in front of the building and shakes a bazooka, and just hits the ground, like towards the ground, and shoots herself up onto the building using the bazooka. All the way to the top. Great entrance. And then we have a sick battle between sick Ruka and Chainsaw Guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, she ends up with both chainsaws at one point and just starts cutting him up.
Very much like a bush trimmer. Just
Yeah.
like creating art. Here's a little ear. Here's an eyeball somehow.
And then her favorite finishing kill is just a bilateral dissection of their heads, you know. I think it's in like the next scene or so, she goes back to the police headquarters, and it's like this really like dark, eerie scene where no one seems to be around. She's getting kind of suspicious of what's going on.
Looks like a warehouse.
Yeah, it looks like a dirty warehouse.
Yeah.
And we see big samurai guy come out of the shadows with his pet. I kept calling her dog girl. And
I mean, that's not wrong either.
It's a girl that doesn't have arms or legs and just crawls around on a chain that he has.
Yeah, with like a BDSM kind of vibe
Attire.
about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's got like it's like a gas mask almost kind of apparatus thing. And it's like a really, I mean, I thought she was going to get into another engineer fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, nope, they flip on the lights. Happy birthday!
And then
Happy
she's
birthday,
like,
Ruka.
this is childhood trauma.
Yeah, it's like her birthday, and also they're celebrating her first 50 kills of the engineers, but that sends her back into kind of a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And we get these kind of flashbacks fed to us throughout the movie, but it's all about her father, you know, and her always wanting to be like her father, and we're learning more about her father's story as we go on. We learn that he was killed, and she associates this birthday with one of her birthdays growing up, where her father came home with a cake, and then her mom was cutting herself in the background suddenly, and
she was cutting, like she was making dinner.
Yeah,
it looks like, and then all of a sudden she turns around and she's like, "Why am I like this?" And he's like, "Ah!"
And we have this like this correlation that she has obviously with her cutting. Associated with her mom, you know, but there's also, I just find it interesting that she's correlating it to that, but then they're selling cutting as like a thing to do just to everybody,
which is strange because they don't want you to commit suicide, because there's a commercial saying like, don't commit suicide,
don't do that,
but it's okay for you to cut yourself and hurt yourself. But just don't kill yourself, because we still need you in society.
And that's super gendered too, because it's like the men in that commercial about like, it's not good to kill yourself, like don't do it. And then the cutting commercial is like schoolgirls. And I think they have those cute little, like they say like kawaii, you know, and they've got the cute little like bear
like animals
characters on their like they're just like box cutters, but they're just like all dolled up. And it's like, what do they say? It's like, oh, it's like really cute, the blood tastes better.
You can make cute little patterns. I was like, no you can't.
They want to keep their people like in depression, like keep everyone depressed, and then so we can keep oppressing them, almost keep them in this manic depression, which they talk about later.
Also, if they're causing their selves harm, then what the police are doing shouldn't be a shock. Shouldn't be shocking. Us killing people should be regular.
They're normalizing this hyper violence.
And I think that's the first time we ever see anybody cut is Ruka in that first scene, and she's just I'm looking at Leslie's notes and it's like excessive. She keeps cutting. And it really is excessive, but there's this sort of like numb to pain, immune to gore, that is just like right out the gate.
She's not cutting herself to fit in with society like a lot of other people are, it seems like, in this. She's doing it because she actually has trauma and she's trying to deal with it in some way.
But I think her mom is, I think that, I see the commercial sort of differently of like, people are like, because her mom is very upset that she's cutting herself. and I don't know, to me there's something to like, this is the sort of natural trauma response that these women are having, is like self-mutilation, but then it's sort of like being sold to them as like, no, that's great, that's healthy, that's like chic, and like isn't really something to be worried about, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
As
It's
long
fine.
as you don't
Oh, look at you, you're so cool.
kill yourself. Yeah. Yikes.
Oh boy. But another way that she deals with her pain is she goes to a bar, the independent bar. But she doesn't get a drink.
She's on patrol.
Gets a glass of OJ.
Yeah.
And this bartender, owner of the bar, is kind of like a, I guess, faux mother figure for her.
Mm-hmm.
She like cares about her. She respects her too. She respects her as a police officer. And that's Ruka's big thing through this whole movie, is she wants to be the best police officer, just like her father. And this woman, the owner of the bar, shows her that and shows her tenderness and is concerned about her cutting, rather than being like, oh, you're part of the fad, It's like she looks at her scars and like touches them at one moment, shows her tenderness. She's just kind of that comfort. I think pretty much the only comfort that we see Ruka have in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
And their backstory is like that she's like saved her. They met because Ruka's like crying in an alley and some boys are like picking on her, and she's like, get out of here, boys, and beats them with the daikon radish, which I think is very cool. But yeah, that we actually like see, because I think she describes the police chief as raising her like a father, but you're right, this is the only time we get to see someone be tender with her, is this other female figure.
Big thing that goes on though, at the beginning of this movie, is we're establishing our main bad guy. Well, what we think is our main bad guy. And he shows, like, he calls... No, it's I'm sorry, it's this madam that is like a pimp for these sex workers. He, like, gets her in the bathroom. And she's like, I actually don't do this. He like puts like a knife up against right next to her eye.
Yeah.
And she's just trying to sell him other girls.
Yeah.
She has literally like a booklet of like girls and they're little pictures, and it's all like cute with like little like hearts and flowers and stuff.
Do you want one that you can cause pain to? Do you want... we have plenty of girls that'll do this. And he does not want that. What he wants to do is stick her with a bunch of straws, metal straws, essentially. He puts them all in massive metal straws, puts them in her face too, in her mouth, and attaches these like baby bottles, and starts filling up these bottles of all of her blood.
And he doesn't take them.
No, he leaves them.
He leaves them there like a circle.
Yeah, for the police to find.
And like her clothes like very nicely like set up next to it. Her like body in a box.
Yeah.
Yep.
Her body's chopped into a little box. But her clothes are neatly folded.
Yes. And no blood on them somehow.
Somehow.
No blood on her clothes. Pretty impressive, dude.
Yeah.
And the police find this, and the reason that they're kind of so taken aback is they say that engineers would never do this. They don't think about evidence. They don't think about like setting things up for the police to find. They're just killers, and they just kill. So they're kind of like, this is a different kind of engineer. Like, he actually cares about... He's like toying with us. He's like teasing us. And so now Ruka's like main goal is to try to find this guy. Well, and then next she is on an empty train, and this is when we meet our bad guy for the first time. He's like he's sitting across from her. He's just got his hair just like very
wearing all black.
It's Professor Snape.
Yeah, Professor
outfit.
Snape.
Yeah.
It's Professor Snape outfit. He's got these like
keys.
These like like burns or cuts in his face.
Yeah, they go from like the bottom of his eye, and then they curve, kind of forming like a penis.
Looks like a
going
penis.
up to his
double
mouth.
penis into his mouth.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes, like, watching this, if it was not supposed to be a key-shaped tumor, but it was like, and it's a dick-shaped tumor, and the producers were like, we have to draw the line somewhere? Like, maybe it's a key. I don't know.
It's like, don't you have enough penises in this movie? Can we change it to key?
We need a more poignant penetration metaphor, so we'll go with a key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she starts to pursue him, and she finds another box of a human that he's clearly drained and cut up. And then she follows him into a warehouse. And this is where we get our first kind of boss battle with this guy. And she cuts him like across the face with her samurai sword.
Not enough, though. It was literally very superficial.
It was just like,
and then he was like, I'll do the job for you. Ah! Like, grabs his scalp and starts pulling it.
and pulls off the top of his head, and underneath his big brain, and then he's got his long, like, gun eyes, like 2 gun barrels just coming out of his eyes.
It's ridiculous.
That he shoots, like, brain bullets out of.
But they're also, like, flying stars, because they pin her to, like, the wall or whatever. So it's not quite sure what kind of, material...
That is, yeah. And, she gets pinned to the wall, and he takes out the little key tumor. And then her arm is, like, against the wall, and a little keyhole appears, and he opens up her arm, and just the skin just opens up completely like that. And it's kind of implied that he put his key tumor inside of her.
Penetration.
Yeah. And
I mutated you.
Yeah, after that, she's definitely concerned. You can tell because the police continue to talk about, we got to kill all the engineers, we got to hunt them down, and she's like, yeah, totally find them.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, not me. I'm
totally fine. I'm so fine.
I feel great.
After that, she doesn't cut herself. I think that's what kind of like.
You're right.
Yeah, because it's also on her cutting arm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even. Yeah, that makes sense. But she kind of just like ignores it a little bit. She's kind of like, we're just not gonna mention this. We're just gonna keep looking for the bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, I think that moment. Now she has higher stakes to find this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I gotta find this brain dude so he can maybe fix me, get the key out of me, so I am not an engineer. So that kind of raises the stakes for her character and for her journey. Well, luckily, the police have this amazing technology because now they found the half head of Brain Guy.
Oh,
And they take the top half of his head and they're like going through the database of like matching the bottom half. And just like morphing the faces.
Yeah.
And they find a match. They do find a match.
Forehead to cheek match. Yeah.
Yes, we got him. We found him. And I can't remember his name, but he was a scientist that committed suicide when he was 24. He's a scientist for I'm pretty sure it was like whatever company that he worked for is like closed at this point for some unknown reasons. And Ruka starts to go to the locations to try to figure out who this guy is, try to figure out some sort of connection that she can find. And what she eventually does find is his office, and then one of the subjects that he worked on, because they were doing genetic experiments, and he finds like the file of, her name is Haruka, so very similar to Ruka's name, and does she find, no, she doesn't find where she is, she just finds out about her.
Yeah. She was a person that was experimented on, and she has what we never saw were little
Biting boobs.
Biting boobs.
Yeah, like... Yeah, that's all there is to it. I was like going to try and expand on it. I was like, no, she just has
that's it.
Scars on her boobs where there are now teeth.
Yeah,
teeth. God damn it.
Biting boobs.
I wish.
We never saw him in action.
No.
Damn. We saw a lot of other biting things, but never her boobs.
Never her boobs.
Which I thought was good writing, though. Because I called it. While we were watching that scene, I was like, what if it's not her boobs?
Yep.
Yeah.
We wanted to see the biting boobs, but they never
Yeah.
gave it to us. You gave us plenty other stuff, though, so fair.
Yeah,
Great
we're
teaser.
about to get there.
We're about to get there. Yeah, so she's on the hunt for Brain Guy and Boob Girl. Jesus. And
We get this separate scene.
yes. It's like this one of the other cops that is also at the police, and he's like he's looking for speed. Like he's talking about, man, if I only had some speed right now.
I'm tired.
He's bored, he's tired.
Yeah.
And I guess he's off his shift because he goes to I thought
Kink
it was
bar.
Yeah, I thought it was an engineer bar, but yeah, so it's like underground, super
A
kinky
kink engineer bar.
Yeah, engineer bar that is also a brothel, I guess.
Yeah.
And he goes in there, a lot of BDSM outfits, all that kind of stuff, and then they reveal the different girls that you can have. Engineer girls, and one of them is the biting boob girl.
One of them is a penis nose.
Penis nose.
Yes.
With like fucking tentacle
She's
little
an eyeball in her mouth.
She has an eyeball in her mouth.
Yeah, she doesn't have an eyeball, but then there's an eyeball in her mouth.
Yeah. Look at this trick. I
Blah,
can
blah,
do blah.
I see you. And then there's Snail Girl.
Snail Girl.
Snail Girl.
Snail Girl got bought first over the penis nose.
Yeah.
Which I'm so sorry, but like, I'm a little surprised. Like, what is it about the snail?
I'm not. I don't know. People are freaks.
Her literally her eyes are like in tubes to make it look like she has her eyeballs like a snail.
And she has little like shell nipples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then an actual fucking shell on her back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the crowning jewel that everyone loved was the living chair.
Yeah.
It was literally a chair.
It was a chair?
It's hard to describe. It really is hard to describe.
Okay,
Other than a living chair.
I'll try my best.
Here we go.
So it's a human that was turned into a chair, has the legs of a person, no head. It's a female because the legs are open because one leg is one leg, the other is another leg of the chair.
Yeah.
In between, we see a lily, which is her vagina, and then we're all like, "Holy shit! Wow!" We're
That's
like
crazy.
absorbing this. We're absorbing the fact that it is a human chair, and you can see that it is breathing, and everybody's like,
"Yeah,
whoa!" This must be like the new design that they just got.
Engineer.
Wow.
Piss.
And it
everywhere.
pees over everyone.
Everybody gets some. Woo! And
Chair
everybody's
pees.
like, yeah, wow.
Yeah, everyone's like, yay!
So stoked on
amazing, because they were like, what is it gonna do? What is its little kink to it? And it just pisses on you.
The golden showers. But our board police dude, picks Boob Girl. He's like, I want to get with her.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to the back room, like worst looking dentist chair you could ever imagine in this room, and he's strapped into it too. Yeah. I just don't know what you expected was going to happen.
She's also wearing like a samurai type of like underwear that is like decorated and just as like traditional kind of fabric.
And she starts going down on him. And we thought Boob Mouth was going to come out and do the job, but no, she just bites off his dick with the mouth. Yeah.
Well, like, they've led me there. I was thinking this is going to be a little, I wasn't going to say gory, but what's the word? Anyways. Graphic. But we're here. What I thought was going to happen was that one of the boobs was going to open up, and then that was going to perform oral.
Yeah.
But this is what I like so much about this movie, is that it's never that predictable, oddly.
No, not at all.
It's too on the nose even for this. They're like, no, we got to give you something even worse.
Penis nose.
Which is also, I think, thinking of, what was that movie, Teeth?
Yeah.
where it's sort of just like this I'm just thinking of like I'm not a man, so I don't know the perspective of men, but like a man writing a movie about like what's the worst thing that can happen in like a sex scenario, and it's like losing my dick and that she bit it off or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And it's like it's that simple. It's like not even anything like horrific like mutant-esque happens. It's just purely that like a woman has exerted her power over him in like the most traumatic way possible for him.
Yep. And just with her mouth.
Just with her mouth.
With her mouth.
No
Yeah.
special tools, no special genetic engineering.
No.
Nope.
Just what God gave her. Her
Yeah.
mouth.
Mhm.
That makes it scarier.
And then the bad guy's there.
The bad guy's there, and he's
Fucking bullet eye.
brain
Brain.
bullet head. He wants to turn this guy into an engineer. He wants to turn this cop into an engineer. But luckily, before he finishes doing that, he gets out of his restraint and takes out his Uzi, which, by the way, he's had an Uzi in his belt
He
this
didn't
whole
have that
time.
walking in. He did not.
He just...
He didn't. He did have it like while she was performing, but before he breaks away, he's getting drilled,
yeah.
and it's like very sexual too. It's
Yeah,
like,
he's just going...
He's getting drilled.
Oh. And his ankle.
His
Ouch.
ankle. Oh, and it's just like... It's
Oh.
grinding it
Yeah.
up. Yeah, meat grinder is his ankle.
Oy.
Like, zzz. Yeah, he's just going back and forth like zzz, zzz,
And
zzz, zzz.
it's the funniest like screams I
Yeah.
Whoa! Whoa!
It's funny.
Barely pain. It didn't really sound like pain. It more just sounded like surprise screams.
It
sometimes.
sounded like I was playing Super Mario Kart. Like It's Luigi just like twirling around.
Yeah.
God.
Oh man! But he does break out of his restraint, grabs his Uzi from his belt, and then just cuts biting Boob Girl in half. Just and
She's
she
like,
just. Oh! I guess Brain Guy is just standing there, just like.
Yeah, what the fuck? Did he leave? Like, we don't see him again.
Oh, did he get kicked down? He's recovering or something. I don't know.
He's just literally standing
cleaning
there.
his drill.
Yeah, he's like,
He's
let
like,
this play
"Oh."
out. Yeah, and she gets cut in half, and cop tries to crawl away, but remember, thing with the mutant, with the engineers, wounds are weapons.
Mhm.
So her cut in half grows into fucking alligator mouth.
Mhm.
Alligator.
Yep, her bottom
Alligator.
half has just been replaced by a big set of teeth. And she comes at him. She bites off his arm, bites on his leg. She's just thrashing him around.
Mhm.
And then honestly, the way that he puts her down is pretty fucking cool. Because the arm that he was holding the Uzi gets bit off, and then he ends up picking that back up and kind of like
Sticks it in.
sticks it in her pussy mouth, I guess. I don't know what else to call that.
Alligator.
Alligator
Her
mouth.
lower mouth.
Her lower mouth.
Now she has 4.
Yeah, there's so many mouths on this girl. And there's this like little tendon that's like poking out the end of his arm. He's like, take this. Pulls the tendon, which pulls his trigger finger. Gets her down. Done. But Brain Guy comes back. And he takes out his little key tumor and opens him up. You're an engineer, brother. Sorry,
Welcome
guy.
to the club.
Welcome to the club. And I mean, what he wanted him to do was go back to the police headquarters and just lay waste to all the police that he could, which he does. And his engineer status is elephantitis of the penis.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
my God, huge.
Like,
There's an elephant sound effect when they show it.
he literally,
It's got that kind of look to it. It's
Yeah.
a little animatronic too. Yeah.
and the shape of it, like at the end too. It wasn't even kind of like, it didn't even have a head. It literally was just like a little, like an elephant.
Yeah, like a trunk.
I called it a snout, like a pig snout, but no, I see the elephant now
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And the actor himself, as he's like walking, he literally was just like having to waddle because
Swinging
this
that
thing
dick.
is so
And it shoots things.
Yeah.
it does.
What I'm thinking too, when we meet him when he's walking to the kink bar, he's got that very kind of like old school porn swagger that like you want it to be that like waka waka, you know, and he's got kind of bell bottoms and he like grabs his junk and like rearranges it and you're like, oh, this guy. And then this is who he becomes.
He becomes just a giant penis.
Yes.
That's makes sense.
Yep.
Loves
He's got
it.
the giant penis, he's got a samurai sword instead of his arm, and he just starts destroying all these guys. And that sends the police chief into like a tirade. He's like, we have to kill all these engineers. Even if someone looks suspicious like they're an engineer, kill them.
Literally, they just kill everybody.
Everybody.
They kill the whole.
They don't care.
Like everybody that lives in town.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's this like whole montage of them just laying waste to anyone walking down the street. It seems like you don't have to really have shown any suspicion, really. I mean, it's a long montage of like the police just going out there
Torturing and
execution style, bags over their heads. They've got they're driving around with their swords out the side of their car, and they're just cutting people in half. And they're laughing. They're laughing. They're having fun.
They're being pigs about it. They're just absolutely indulging in everything.
Yeah, just looting, pillaging. There's the cop that like throws a woman in the van and then he like takes her wallet out of her purse, like and she's like, oh great, you know.
Yep.
Why? Asshole.
And the whole time Ruka is like going off of this list, kind of like looking for bullet eyeball man, and like she's going through every single thing, and I'm like,
Every
girl,
location.
everybody that you love and care for are dying.
Yeah, literally, well, everyone
The
is
people
dying.
you swore to protect are being killed by the people that you are associated with.
Yeah, and employed by.
Yeah, and then
raised by.
And she finds the bullet brain guy. He has locks all over the door frame.
I actually loved that look.
She literally just
so
like
cool.
lightly touches one and they all open up. Because she has a key.
She's got the key inside of her.
She has a key inside of her.
And yeah, it's kind of this little meetup with Brain Bullet Guy and Ruka. And he pretty much just lays out bad guy exposition.
But in a very, like, comic way.
Yes, literally comic booky kind of way.
It was so funny.
Yeah, he has these like little pictures, and he's like, it's like a slideshow.
Yeah.
That he's like telling the story with all these little pictures, and they're like, some are like poorly drawn.
Very kiddish.
Very childlike.
But with actually him photoshopped in.
Yeah.
It's like an actual photo
the top
of him.
of Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he tells the story. Essentially, his father was a hitman, and one of the best hitmen in the world, hired for all these high-profile cases. And he got injured one day, and after he was injured, he was kind of thrown to the side by the people that hired him. And then there's this one last hit that they want to hire him for, and we eventually learn that the hit was of Ruka's father. That's who killed him, and it was because he was against privatizing the police. This is when we learn that her father did not want the police to become privatized, and whoever hired him wanted him dead for that. He then continues to talk about how he grew up. He was kind of this genius, this engineering genius, this scientist mind, and he was studying genetics in this company, specifically serial killers and murderers' genetics, and like using them for something. I don't really know.
Yeah, was he just trying to just be like, what makes them tick? Or like that's it just starts kind of innocently of just like we want to Well, I guess if his dad is a cop and he's like got this interest in like what makes people violent, I don't know. Let's find out.
It was almost like using their murderous powers for good. How can we use what makes them tick to our advantage in some way?
Because one of the commercials or the propagandas for the police was that they were showing murdering a serial killer, and then later it says that he had murdered 15 kindergartners. And they were like, see, we're good guys, we kill the bad guys, the serial killers. So
but I don't remember really what prompted him to do this, but he eventually just drinks or injects the serial killer.
Well, because it's when his father dies, right?
Oh.
That makes him go lose it. He's like, well, I'm going to do it.
I'm just going to go for revenge now.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on like a murderous revenge spree.
Maria Gonzalez was one of the ones.
Yeah.
Ed Gein, Maria Gonzalez.
James
Jones,
James
Maria
Jones.
Gonzalez.
Jim Jones. Jim Jones.
Who's Jim Jones? I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of his church, but he's the one that went down to Guam with a bunch of people and they all drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh.
Jim Jones.
Oh.
Jim Jones, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, what's it called? Whatever. I'll remember it later. Okay.
Yeah, that had the actress.
Was that?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No, Jonestown Massacre.
Jonestown Massacre.
Yeah.
That's it.
In South Africa, right? But yeah, no, I'm just thinking, I'm like, we got Charles Manson, who's a dude who's like trying to, I just want to dissect this for a second.
Cool.
About like Charles Manson, who's the like cult leader who gets women to follow him and do whatever he wants or whatever, and then the women do all of his killing for him. We have Jim Jones, who creates a cult and has everybody do whatever he wants. Ed Gein, who cuts people up and uses their skin, who like engineers things out of human bodies. And I don't know who Maria Gonzalez is, but I can't wait to look her up and find out what her connection is to this.
And then ends up killing himself. He ends up jumping off the roof because he wasn't thinking straight, I think is what he says. And then he wakes up at the door of hell or something. Like, and he's knocking on the door of hell and this little devil comes out.
Sleepy little devil.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what? What do you want? And he's the one that gives him the tumor key for the first time. He wakes up and he's alive still. And then he starts studying the tumor key and he realizes the power of the tumor key and how he can use it. And then it's revealed that the police chief, who's the one that's raised Ruka as his own, was the one that called the hit out. He killed Brain Bullet Guy's father and he killed Ruka's father because he wanted the police to be privatized. And essentially Bullet Brain Guy is like, we got to team up. We got to make this a country of engineers and take the power back from these police. And she's like,
he say it's not revenge, it's a revolution.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's like, whoosh, just classic move, just splits them in two. And she's like, no, but thanks for the information. And then she's, I think, off to go confront the chief. In the meantime, though, the police that have been looting and killing a bunch of people get their hands on the owner of the bar.
Yeah.
Damn.
But Miss Independent Woman. But, I mean, before she goes down, she makes some pretty cool kills.
She does.
She fucking grabs one of the biggest fucking sake bottle that she could have ever had and just
right on some guy's face. Just cuts off. That was so awesome. She is cutting off his face and then blows through the bottle and his face just falls out of the bottle. But they eventually get her and little drawn and quartering action between the police cars. Yeah, and unfortunately Ruka is not fast enough to get there to save her and just witnesses her.
She could have if she didn't stop to fucking breathe.
Yeah, she like she gets there and
Yeah.
she's like has plenty of time to like cut one of the cords with her samurai sword.
Yeah.
She just watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Well, she senses she's in trouble because her friend has given her a bracelet and she wears a matching one on her ankle and it like tingles. So she runs to the scene and then gets there
And then it's too late.
Bye.
She gives her one last look though, like her friend. She's like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fine. But one of the cops you mentioned was eating. The other one was drinking. The other two, one of them couldn't fucking see for shit. Like his fucking helmet was like here and like
Way too
I don't
big for
know
his
what
head.
he was doing.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
laughing, they're high-fiving, they're loving this moment.
Because she gets split in half.
Yeah, four ways. And bad call. Ruka is pissed.
Her tumor pulses
Yeah.
from anger. And then she turns into eating.
Yeah, she's got a kind of like a smaller version of the alligator legs
Yeah.
on her arm.
But now we go into fighting the
The final bosses.
final bosses.
We got the final bosses. She goes back to the headquarters, the police headquarters, and first guy that we run into is the
Doctor?
autopsy guy. He's the one that like
Yeah.
dissects these things. He seems to like have the like scientific knowledge of these people, and he's got a fist gun.
Fist gun!
Fist gun.
Like a Nerf gun, but like with fists.
He has this massive gun that just shoots fists out. Boink.
It was so fucking funny.
It was so good.
I want
Oh
that
my
toy.
God.
I do want like a Nerf gun that's like that just
Just
shoots
fist.
little rubber fists. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like shooting her, and he like gets like an open choking fist on her neck, and then
One grabbing.
one that grabs her her normal arm, and she's kind of just stuck there. And then he's preparing his
Ultimate move.
ultimate moves, which are shooting the middle fingers.
To stab her?
Yeah, to stab right through her.
I can't really. That one hurts.
Yeah,
What?
that seemed like it would hurt. But luckily, her arm, her
Yeah.
alligator arm, shoots out its long tongue, and the middle fingers
How do you?
go and kind of like ricochet around it, and just we see it 4 times.
Yeah, in case the first time you were
This
like,
is
what? That wouldn't work. He goes, no, watch it work.
Watch
3
it.
more times.
No, it's absolutely genius.
Don't worry, this will work. And turns the middle finger back on him, and he's the end. That's what he says.
Yeah.
the end.
I missed that. Because I was too busy thinking that it was like, fuck you. That it's like, oh, you got fucked, dude.
You fucked
Yeah.
yourself over.
Again, yeah.
One was in his eye, the other ones were just like
yeah.
all over.
Mhm.
And again with the penetration.
Not a penetration going on. Yes.
So much penetration.
And then we meet up with the police chief, who's got to, sick his dog on her first. We have his like little pet amputee person that instead of limbs, they have knives
Now.
and they're walking around like kind of stilty on these sharp ass knives. And she's like, well, first of all, he flips a switch on the back of her to manic depression, and that sends her into like a brrr.
Like Bane.
Yeah.
Bane like literally gets bigger with poison. So
He juices her
getting
up.
juices, speed juice.
The depression juice. And she's like a spidery kind of moving things,
Yeah.
running on walls, and
How, you may ask? With her knives?
don't know. She's got some
'Cause
intense
she wasn't
core.
stabbing them.
No.
She was literally just like on them, like just like this.
Got a lot of good balance. Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
good balance. Yeah.
A lot of strength.
And she's kind of flipping all over, but eventually Aruka disarms her, literally, cuts off her knives, and
Grabs her. and spins her around. La-da-dee-da-dee.
Very-
There's a Titanic moment of the spinning where we
Yeah.
see Ruka's face like, yay!
And then whoosh, hits her like against a desk, really. And then the chief is like, that was rude.
I've raised you better.
Yeah.
I didn't raise you to be rude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to kill you for that.
We skipped to that he's also abusing this woman too. That like sometime while Ruka's off adventuring and coming to him, that he's in his like at that desk, sort of, I don't know, just keeping tabs on.
He's watching the
Whatever-
people die or something.
Yeah, and he's just being the bad boss or whatever, the bad guy, and has his prisoner perform oral sex on him with his reaction being hilarious too, because that was when he's like, you know,
Yeah,
doing
he's
some kind of crazy. Yeah, so we also know that it's like he says he cares for this this person, but he's keeping her leather bound and for his own pleasure.
Mhm.
He's like, you hurt my baby or whatever.
How
I
rude.
mean, she has a number. I think it was like 639.
Mm-hmm.
So she is one of those engineers that you buy at this like kink engineer place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says something to her too about how like, oh, I raised this one, you know, as like my prisoner, but you I raised with love or whatever. That there's like a weird.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Like you could have been this person, but you have limbs.
Yeah. You should feel lucky. Don't be rude.
Don't be
Yeah.
rude.
Don't be
Being a
rude.
bad girl. Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm gonna have to put you down, you know. And there, you have become like a devil. Like you're a demon now. You're become one of the engineers, the thing that we're all sworn to kill. And she comes back with, there may be a devil inside of me, but as long as I am myself, I will be the one to protect the citizens. Like she goes back to this only caring about being a good cop and actually protecting people, whereas the chief has been revealed as all he wants is power. He's hungry for pain and power over people. And then they have their little fight, and she cuts off his legs, which he then injects himself with speed, so much speed.
Two speeds
two
on his
speeds,
legs.
Yeah.
And the blood starts coming out of him so fast that they become like turbo jets, and they
Yes.
lift him up, and he starts flying around just using his blood jets.
And it's so the like cinematography in these sections is so great too, because it was very old school, like Godzilla, where they have, or like there's those old samurai films too, where like they have somebody who's clearly like on a wire, and it's like the difference between the background and the foreground, or like that, you know, whoever's the subject is like almost feels like it's on two different kinds of film, and there's something like very animated about it, and it's very like, I just love this just, I don't know, holler back to this like or this, you know, calling back to that kind of a film in this moment, and he's fully like got the uniform on and stuff, and just
He's like flying around. Oh god, this man has a lot of blood.
Lot of blood.
Lot of blood.
Way more than 2 liters or whatever
So
it
much
is.
Or the 10 bottles that like the bullet.
Yeah.
not even
guy.
full bottles.
No, yeah.
Yep. And he's flying around, but eventually she beheads him. Beheaded. And then
Behead.
does a classic dad cop move, salutes him with her like monster arm.
Crabby.
Yes.
And then at the end, it's really kind of, well, first of all, we get a cutaway of now the Tokyo Army is privatized. So we're like, oh God, here we go. So it doesn't end, you know, it's not this whole privatization of police and violence is not over yet. And we're kind of left with a final shot of Ruka in her engineer form, and now she's got the dog lady instead of
With fucking
knives.
rifles.
Yeah, fucking machine guns on each limb instead.
AK-47.
Yes.
I don't know what they are.
Whatever they were
Weapons of war.
weapons
Yeah.
of war, and we're kind of left with like, now they're teaming up.
And then at the end it says, "We'll be back with more gore."
Back with more gore.
Yes.
And I don't know
So
if I don't know if there's a sequel, but They said that there's going to be more gore, so
Yeah.
yikes.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yikes.
Yeah, I
Yikes.
want to know. Yeah, I want to look up if there were plans for a sequel or whatever happened with that, or if it's just a teaser that it's like there's always more gore. In fact, it's right outside.
Outside your front door.
Yeah.
This movie says something.
Oh, no. I think
No sequel?
No
No
sequel.
sequel.
Oh, well. People didn't want that much more gore.
Maybe you just didn't get the budget for it.
Yeah. Maybe people saw it, they're like, yeah, I'm good. And we're good.
Yeah.
Or maybe they couldn't think of any more ideas, so they went through a lot of crazy concepts.
did?
in
They
that
could
movie.
have. I think that
There's
kind
so
of
many-
creativity. Yeah, they've
Yeah.
I hope
got.
so.
I want to see what got cut from that. Like what's on the cutting room
Oh,
floor of
yeah.
that film.
Oh, Lord. I don't know if I want to.
There's so many like furniture too that you can just like use.
The second movie is all furniture people.
It's just
all living furniture.
it's
just like-
beds versus like stools. Yeah. Oh.
Wait till you see my table.
Oh god. Oh god. Yeah.
Wow, Tokyo Gore Police,
Yeah.
2008.
Gore
What a
Police.
wild ride. That was
Let me
fucking
tell you, that
crazy.
was fucking
All right, so
nuts.
let us get to the Smash Pumpkin ratings.
Yes.
This will be an interesting one. Leah, would you like to begin?
Oh god. You know what? I'm gonna very confidently say I would give it like a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, I think so. I think it gets points knocked off for some general loose threads.
Mhm.
Definitely the weird racism scene. And some writing was maybe not, whatever. But in general, a great wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
even from someone that's not typically a Gore fan, but like this kind of Gore I can get behind.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5
2.5.
for sure. I also enjoyed the graphics. I think that's, if anything, that is the only reason you should see this movie. Yeah, I didn't like the racist scene, and yeah, the story I think just didn't make quite sense there. I'm also not a Gore fan, so I'm gonna rate it a little bit lower, but I'm gonna rate it a 2.5 solemnly for the graphics. Boy, were those fun. I think the chair is gonna haunt my dreams forever.
Absolutely.
I think there are gonna be a lot of moments in my life from this point on where I'm gonna force myself. I'm gonna be serving a table, and all I'm gonna think about is that chair. And if they ask me if there's any specials, I'm gonna be like,
A pissing chair.
pissing chair.
Yeah. That will definitely.
It's marketed for $25 tonight.
Oh, wait.
Anyways, yeah, that is gonna haunt my dreams.
That'll stick around for sure.
Mhm.
I think I had a fun time watching it for sure. I thought the effects were incredible. The style was super fun. I like this world that we're set in. This world built out, like they really went for it between not just the gore, but also the costumes of the police and the police car. It really went for it for sure, and went for a lot of different things. Weak moments, obviously we've talked about the points of the script. There's some nonsensical and not necessary things that they put in there. So definitely get docked on that. But I also really, really like this lead actress for sure. She is, from just auditioning this movie, really enjoy her performances. And she's got that intensity that she just has it.
She's captivating.
She really is. I think I'm also going to give it a 3.5 as well.
Wow. This
I
is
think
a
it
mess.
has everything you need in this kind of a genre. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Like
It's
a
a-
little love letter to that genre.
It is a wild and crazy ride, and I promise you won't see anything like it. If you haven't seen it, you've never seen anything like that.
Can I add the one IMDb fact? So I did some light research last night, very light, and then I fell asleep. But this movie had 2 facts on IMDb, or 2 trivia pieces, which is like, I don't know. I love when a movie has like nothing in that section. But the 2 things were just that like he got the idea for the brothel scene after like a trip he took. That was one fact. That was one trivia fact.
Whoa.
And then the other was that the film was shot in 2 weeks. That's all you get of this movie. But they filmed that in 2 weeks, so that definitely helps the score for me.
That's
knowing
insane.
that, like,
that is insane.
That is so much.
I mean, it's I guess it was very sparse, very like, you know, kind of just warehousey type places and a lot of blood, and then you're set.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Yeah, but like I mean, to make those, the hands and the heads and the
rigging too that you have to do for all the blood spurts and I mean, and those scenes were shot so, I thought shot really well. Like they all those scenes seemed so planned out, comic book style. You have a lot of like very interesting tableaux, especially with the fighting scenes. You have to shoot those very specifically to be able to sell the effect and not reveal it too much.
Yeah.
So, man, that is wild.
Yeah. For a film shot in 2 weeks and there's not a single wire visible.
No.
amazing.
That's a bunch of professionals. So
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yoshihiro,
Yeah.
do it, dude.
I'm gonna look up whatever else he's done.
I'd be
Yeah.
very curious.
See what else.
Wow, cool. So the
Amazing.
final thing that we do on this podcast is pick our movie for next week.
Oh
So
yeah.
we gotta figure it out, and as the guest,
Oh wow,
you
okay.
get to pick it out.
Yes.
Let's dig all the way to the bottom.
And then we read the log line
No, I'm just
first.
There's a penis in there.
Oh, I have one. That's just
We read the log line first to try and guess what it is.
Yeah, read the description
Usually
first.
I don't.
Oh,
Don't
just
see
the
it.
the last
I almost hate you.
the last little cell here.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
A woman brings her family back to her childhood home, which used to be an orphanage for handicapped children. Before long, her son starts to communicate with an invisible new friend.
I love this movie. This movie's great.
What is it?
We are gonna watch The Orphanage, Spanish movie.
It's a Spanish movie?
Mhm. It is great. This is actually, I talked about this on one of our minisodes as one of the first memorable horror movies that I ever saw, and it like straight up disturbed me. It
Oh,
really
okay.
like hit me right here.
Whoa.
Okay.
It's a nice little ghost story.
Mm,
Yes.
we-
Nice.
I don't think we've had a ghost story
No, I don't think so.
in the podcast.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Lovely.
First ghost story.
The Orphanage.
Excellent.
Yay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Leah, for
Thank
coming
you.
on
Thank
the podcast.
you guys. This has been such a joy.
Such a joy.
Such a joy.
Fucking incredible.
Awesome. Let's get out of here, huh?
All right. Well, do you want to...
You
You
wanna
can
plug
definitely
yourself?
plug yourself if you want.
Any social media tags
If
you want to...
not, you don't have to. You can...
I don't know if I have much to say.
well,
And that says it all.
Coming soon. We'll
Yeah.
add links, I guess. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Beautiful. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Caller Me Leslie.
And me at BeepBeepRichieT, and also the Deadlights pod.
Mhm.
That is us. Also, check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we are recording this at.
Yes.
But until next time, let's get spooky.
Ooh,
Spooky! So much fun.
so much blood.
We'll never forget that chair.